You've done this before without realizing it. You hear a song from 5 years ago. Suddenly, you're not in your room anymore. You're back in an old car at night. A certain person is sitting beside you. The air smells the same. Your chest tightens for no reason. And for a few seconds, you miss a version of yourself that no longer exists. That feeling has a name, nostalgia. But nostalgia is strange, because your brain isn't actually trying to remember the past. It's trying to survive the present. Humans have always done this. Thousands of years ago, long before phones, before cities, before photographs, people still carried ghosts in their minds. A hunter would return to an empty campsite and remember the laughter from winters before. A mother would smell smoke and think of people who were already gone. An old man would stare at a river and remember when his body still obeyed him. The past hurt them too, but memory was never just memory. It was shelter. And today, it still is. Because modern life moves too fast for the human nervous system. Your childhood bedroom disappears. Your favorite app changes overnight. Friends become profile pictures. Entire relationships are reduced to archived chats and forgotten passwords. Nothing stays. And the human brain hates that, so it does something fascinating. It starts preserving emotional snapshots, tiny museums inside your head. That's why nostalgia is almost never about facts. You don't miss the actual school. You miss how it felt walking home at 3 p.m. when life still seemed endless. You don't miss old technology because it was better. Most of it was objectively terrible. You miss the feeling of being younger while using it. The scratched PlayStation controller, the sound of MSN notifications, DVD menus, old YouTube intros, the glow of a television at midnight when everyone else was asleep. Your brain stores emotion first, details second, which is why nostalgia feels so physical. A smell can destroy you faster than a photograph. Scientists discovered something strange about memory. Every time you remember something, you slightly rewrite it, meaning your favorite memories are not recordings, they're reconstructions, edited, softened, cinematic. Your brain quietly removes certain pain, enhances certain emotions, adds warmth where there wasn't enough. In other words, nostalgia is often grief wearing perfume, and sometimes it gets dangerous, because nostalgia can make people romanticize entire eras that were objectively worse. People say they miss simpler times, but simpler for who? The 1950s looked beautiful in photographs. Warm diners, neon signs, classic music. But underneath that aesthetic were wars, repression, racism, isolation, untreated trauma. Yet the brain crops suffering out of memory the same way social media crops reality out of life. Humans don't remember the past accurately. We remember it emotionally. That's why entire generations become obsessed with the good old days. Not because the world was better, but because they were younger, less aware, less exhausted, closer to possibility. And maybe that's the real secret behind nostalgia. Most people aren't missing the past. They're missing hope. Think about how often nostalgia appears during uncertainty, breakups, loneliness, economic collapse, aging, depression. When life feels unstable, the brain searches backward for emotional safety. That's why during stressful periods, people replay old games, rewatch childhood cartoons, listen to songs they haven't heard in 10 years. Not because they want entertainment, because they want familiarity. And familiarity tells the nervous system, you survived this before. Even companies understand this. Hollywood keeps reviving old franchises. Fashion endlessly recycles decades. Games get remastered. Old logos return. Polaroid filters dominate social media. Modern culture is addicted to recycling emotional comfort because nostalgia sells safety. But there's another reason nostalgia hurts so much now. For most of human history, life changed slowly. Your grandparents probably lived in a world somewhat recognizable to their parents. But you've lived through multiple digital extinctions already. Entire online worlds vanished. Vine disappeared. Old Instagram disappeared. Childhood internet disappeared. The early YouTube era disappeared. Even your own personality keeps disappearing. You become a different person every few years. Different fears, different humor, different dreams. And the internet archives all of it. For the first time in human history, people can scroll backward through old versions of themselves. Old tweets, old selfies, old messages, old voices. Imagine showing a medieval farmer a perfect digital record of who he was at 14. It would terrify him. But for us, it's normal, which means modern humans experience nostalgia constantly, not once a year, every single day. And maybe that's why so many people feel emotionally exhausted online. Because the internet turned memory into a permanent room you never fully leave. You can revisit your past whenever you want. The problem is, your nervous system never evolved for that. Humans were supposed to remember selectively, not infinitely. And yet, despite all this, nostalgia isn't entirely sad. In fact, psychologists found that nostalgia can reduce loneliness, increase meaning, and even make people feel physically warmer. Because memory reminds us of something important. You existed. You mattered. You were loved somewhere. You survived things you thought would destroy you. That awkward teenager, that lonely child, that insecure version of you. They're still here, buried underneath deadlines and notifications in adult exhaustion. Still alive in fragments. A song, a smell, a summer evening, the sound of rain through an open window. And maybe that's why nostalgia feels so sacred, because for a brief moment, time stops behaving normally. Past and present touch each other. You meet old versions of yourself like strangers at a train station. Some you mourn, some you barely recognize, some you desperately want back. But none of them were meant to stay. That's the tragedy of being human, and also the beauty. Because one day, right now will become nostalgia too. This moment, this voice, your current problems, the people you think you'll never lose. Your future self will look back at today with the same strange ache you feel toward the past now. Not because life was perfect, but because it was alive. And maybe that's what nostalgia really is. Proof that time touched us deeply enough to leave scars that still glow.